Hey, welcome back. Checkered Shorts, episode
Howdy.
number 56, and race reaction. Hey, how about that? We've been trudging through the off season and built all the excitement. And today, it was exciting to watch racing, that's for sure. But we'll get to our
Yep.
race reaction here shortly. We'll start off with episode 56 with our history lesson. So, Brian, what do we have for the number 56?
Yeah, race one is in the books. How awesome is that? Like we're rolling. But yeah, 56, 1956 Indianapolis 500, won by Pat Flaherty. But thought I would bring up a little history here. I think you guys are aware of the AAA, right? The American Automobile Association.
Yep.
The all racing kind of is sanctioned in some way. The AAA sanctioned the Indianapolis 500 from its inception in 1911 until 1955. And if you remember last episode, we talked about that was the year that Bill Vukovich died. There was also a horrific crash at Le Mans, and a couple more in Europe, maybe even a couple here in the States as well. And kind of the public perception of racing was that it was too dangerous, and it was like there was a real push to ban it. And so AAA said, hey, that's enough. We're not going to sanction this type of racing. It's too dangerous. And so they exited, and in came the United States Auto Club, created by Tony Holman. And USAC then started sanctioning the Indianapolis 500 in 1956 and did that all the way up until the IndyCar split in 97. And then since then, and after that, it was the IRL kind of did their own, or the Indy Racing League or IndyCar, whatever we call it. They had sanctioned it themselves.
Mhm.
And I just thinking like it's kind of appropriate because now we've got, what are we calling, the IOB? Is that what we're calling it now? So each of these segments last about 30 to 40 years. So I think we're good for the next 30 years with the IOB now.
I like that. All right. Yeah. I like it.
I always enjoy digging into the history a little bit, especially for myself. Again, I'm just a couple years in, getting some of the background and the story of IndyCar has been great. And if you haven't been there, we've talked about it several times. The museum, you can go in and delve into it, and the interactive nature of especially that second floor. If you really want to dig into the history, there's a lot there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tons
Sure.
Yeah.
The IOB is another topic, but that's up for discussion on our thoughts of that. What IndyCar did there. So interesting. But forward, Keith, go for it.
Let's get right to it. I mean, race reaction, St. Pete. We always get this huge build up for the start of the season. You just want to see some racing. From that aspect, I'd say didn't disappoint. But once again, we got to see Alex Palou get out front and stay out front and continue to gain out front. Masterful performance as always. The team is top notch. The machine is always running like a top. And then he gets in the seat and does what he does, which is just hit his marks over and over and over again. And once he gets to clean air, like we've talked about this multiple times, you don't want to be chasing that rabbit.
No, we can't, man.
Yeah, that's the point I wanted to make is like he didn't seem that strong. It seemed like, it was Scotty Mac's race when he was out front and, Ericsson and the other guys. But Palou didn't seem like he was doing anything that spectacular until they allowed him to get up front. So they just can't let him get there. And the fact is he didn't drive himself to the front. Again, it's his strategy. It's Barry Wanzer and Chip and that team that just continues to find a way to get him to the front. And they were able to go, and part of that's him. He was able to go longer on the black tires to start the race, or red tires, sorry, than anybody else was. And so maybe he did drive himself there that way, but it wasn't like he was passing cars on the track. It was more he did it on pit lane again.
Well, they mentioned it several. They mentioned it several times. As some of the other guys, or the majority of guys' strategy was try to end on reds, and they seemed to not. Which the numbers bared out that it didn't look like there was much of a difference. But he was able to use his reds early and never hurt him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he can make those last longer than some of the blacks with some of these drivers, it seems, especially even last year. It seemed he was still outperforming on old red tires compared to somebody's new black tires. So it's pretty uncanny what he can do, and he positioned himself. That's like you said, he didn't race himself up there. It's really hard to do, I think, in IndyCar and on a road course to race yourself up there, especially passing 4 or 5 guys. But they set himself up. They had the right fuel mileage to go a few more laps. He burned in and out on those in and out laps. Yeah, I mean, that's just luck of the draw sometimes where a caution falls. So, yeah, overall, it was good racing. It sucked to see him lead the last 59 laps, I think it was. Those last 50 especially were pretty painful, just as far as you want to see more as the three of us as really big IndyCar fans. We want to see a story. We want to see this thing explode, have storylines, and that was the disappointing part for me. But that's how a lot of these races go sometimes. So selfishly, I think I say this a lot, I wanted more out of that race just for production TV. And we got some good racing in the back. But yeah, that's my 2 cents on it.
Well, and then you really felt like to change the strategy to get him grouped up again so he's not just out there in the clean air, you needed some more cautions down the stretch. We got, like we get every season, a lap 1 caution, and then there was another caution later on. But we really needed one in that midst of him leading those laps, just to bunch him back up, make him have to defend. And that's probably also why you can save those tires. You know, if you're out there out front and you're never racing, you know, you're just racing the track itself. So it's a different workload than what some of those guys were doing behind him, fighting each other off, fending each other off. There was some good passing going on, some good racing going on between Kirkwood and you had Lundgaard up there as well, and then you had Scotty Mack, who you thought was going to maybe just run the table from the start. But obviously that didn't come to fruition. So,
yeah, I think that I would love to have seen a Scotty Mack Pelot shootout. You know, if there would have been a caution with those two, I think that could have had the potential to be very exciting. But it just didn't play out that way.
Dinwiddie, you mentioned it, and I didn't pick up on this until it actually happened. You mentioned it off air. Kirkwood holding that lineup. Hey, defend it as long as you can, baby. You earned that. But that's when Pelot really stretched that out. Still, I don't know if anybody would have been able to catch him, but that's when it went from a 4 to 5 second lead to a 13-second lead at the end of the race. So it would have been cool to see Scotty and Christian potentially, I mean, to make it a 4 or 5 second lap or space between the whole, next 20 laps would have been different, but Kirkwood had every right to defend it. So, but he fell off pretty quick there after those two got around him.
Yeah. And then, clearly we all kind of watch our favorites and we watched the leaders from last year. Pato had a better week 1 qualifying than he had last season, but he really never was able to move after that first third of the race. Felt like he was just kind of holding his spot. But, leaving week 1, a lot of those guys do have to feel a little better. Last year people had to make a big run to catch up in the championship points. And maybe this sets some of these guys that can challenge him up to be in a better spot. Scotty Mack as well. He finished on the podium second. And so you live to race another week, and we got race upon race upon race here at the beginning, which is going to be a lot of fun. And the switch from all streets and roads up front to going to Phoenix next week, some of these guys may have the opportunity to chip away or stay close in that championship series because of the ovals, because some of these guys are a little racier on the ovals and can challenge Pelot maybe a little better at the ovals. And the cautions are going to be there, and the lap traffic's going to be there. That's going to slow him down. He's not going to be able to pull out to a 13-second lead on an oval. So, hopefully week 2, we can group things back up again.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, if he has a weak point, it probably is an oval. And yeah, a lot more action packed than some of these road courses can get. So
yeah, he's only great on an oval. He's not exexceptional.
Yeah, exactly.
So, you know, and some of these other guys can be great on ovals as well. So
I've got a question. This is a question that I don't know. So for willpower, he wrecked in practice 2, right? Said something about the brakes. Then he wrecked same spot, same situation. I don't know the answer to this, and I'm sure you two don't either, but is it because of the new car? Is he like, if you get in somebody else, your wife's car, and it's not quite the same, but you know how to drive it? Like it left me really wondering how different that car might be. I don't think it's probably very different, but to do it twice because of the same reason. And he didn't say anything bad about the car. He said, I'm sorry for the crew. I feel bad for the crew. Like it was his mistake. So,
I think, you know, we have to go back and remember, like, this is still a new car to him, you know, because of the contract with Penske, and Dan Towers mentioned it this morning in the pre-race. Like, he wasn't able to touch anything Honda until January 1st. So he's only 60 days into working with that car. And there's a big difference between that Honda and Chevrolet. And so I think you hit on something there. He's still trying to get a comfort level there. His crew chief, you know, that communication piece, they're not synced up yet. So I think there's a lot of truth to that. I know that we kind of expected Will to do much better than he did this weekend.
Yes.
But maybe we were giving him too much credit and thinking this was too easy to make this transition.
I think you might be right. Sorry if that derailed your form there, Keith. But
no. I like it. I like it because, you know, we're talking about those guys that we expect to be up front. We're talking about the front runners. He surely was someone we were, you know, optimistic about seeing in a Honda, and we know how Hondas run on the street and road courses. But, you know, teach an old dog new tricks kind of saying. He's definitely probably going back to school a little bit, and that's going to take time. And he talked about at the practices and the wrecks there that, you know, they're trying to make adjustments to the braking system. And I think to some degree it is to the driver's liking, the adjustments that the engineering team has to make. And they were unable to make them, and he was unable to adjust. And because of that, we saw what we saw. And then there's some other guys in the field that don't have an excuse, in my opinion. And I'm watching this race, and you're going to see a lap 1 wreck, and you're going to see a caution. But to just take out 2 guys' days and then at the end say, I don't know what happened. You know, I agree with the 30-second penalty. Well, hell yeah, you better agree with it, because you took out 2 guys and then you just backed your way out and hit the track.
It's bad.
The problem is,
go ahead.
The problem is he probably doesn't know what he did.
Right.
Like, those
guys in the paddock have to, like, you don't hear it, but I'd really like to hear the rumblings of how bad they hate Stingray. And it sucks because there are better drivers out there. They just don't have, you know, Connor Daly, Askew, Lundquist. So those are 3, especially Lindquist. I mean, he was producing for Chip 2 years ago. But you got to pay to play, and when you got the money, that's what that car is ugly as hell too. Like a maroon race car. Come on, like, what are we doing? Like, so it looks slow. It is slow. Stingray's got to figure it out, man. Sucks.
Well, I mean, I text during the race, is like, man, they're gonna have to cut away whenever Ferrucci's got his arms around his rubber chicken neck, strangling him on the grid. I mean, I thought he held it together, or thank God that the mic was cutting out.
Yeah,
he couldn't say all the things he wanted to say.
Did that.
Because, I mean,
he's going out. Sorry.
Ferrucci runs hot, but I cannot imagine here you are, your spotter's telling you to go wide. You can see there's someone undercutting you there. And then he just locks up or whatever happens, just straight into the wall. And then poor Mick Schumacher, his debut, and he just goes,
you got
front end over the rear end of Ferrucci.
Yeah, we don't know what to expect from Mick now, right? Like this was kind of going to be our introduction to him in IndyCar, and next with the oval, that's going to make
not a way you want to do it.
Yeah,
you want to see him on a road or street course, and he never got the shot to show us what he could do. So.
Who else impressed or unimpressed you two? Anybody?
There were lots of impressed for me, and I'll go back. You made the comment like it's really hard to pass on to race your way to the front. But one guy did today, and that's Joseph Newgarden.
Yeah,
he started 23rd and went to 7th, and he didn't do that through pit strategy. Joseph did it on the track. Right. So that was very impressive to me. I know that we've talked about not being the biggest of fans of Joseph and his new personality or whatever has happened in the last few years. But shocking to see him qualify where he did. But wow, what an amazing journey through the race today.
Yeah, and after a pretty underwhelming practice and qualifying sessions, he had a lot of spots to make up because of where he put himself. But he also went out there and raced and avoided some of that trouble on lap 1. He was kind of in the neighborhood of that stuff. And then, just continued to make moves throughout the day and, head down, foot on the floor. And he managed to hold that car together the entire race. And at the end in the interview said he was thrilled with his race car. He really come down to how he performed on Thursday, Friday, Saturday was probably the most impactful thing to keep him from running in the front with these other guys.
Yeah, he'll take that finish any day of the week, I think, especially with where he started. And it's got to give him a confidence boost, even from last season. I mean, I know he finished really high, but before that Nashville race, he wasn't patting himself on the back. So I think that's a top 3 finish in a sense, I think, if you're him, for sure.
And what about the 2 Dale Coyne guys?
Yeah,
they were on my list as well.
Very impressive. Yeah. I mean, we kind of know what you might get from Grosjean, but he seemed a little measured than what he had been in the past.
I agree.
And then you take a first time out, Hauger looked great.
A top 10 for Hauger, 8th for Grosjean. I seriously thought that, okay, yeah, you got a quick car, you can qualify it. What are you going to do with it? I figured they would go back to, 15th and 18th, something like that. Really produced. I mean, those are. Don't know if Dale Coyne's ever finished an 8th and a 10th before. I'm sure he probably has, but you know what I mean. It's that's a really good team win, and they figured that out. And Grosjean, I think he definitely has been hot in the past, and they didn't focus on too much to pick up on anything, but a really strong 8th place finish and take what the road course gives you. I think it was awesome for both those guys.
And then a show favorite, Rinus VeeKay. Looks like his team change for someone who he seems like he's gotten up to speed quickly. And so I think it's going to be a good change for him.
I like it.
Yeah.
He's still not on one of the big teams, but I think he's acting like he is, which I can, he's elbows out a little bit more, I think, which I love.
Well, and you can, we just talked about Coyne. Dale Coyne, both drivers raced really well. VeeKay really showed it because his teammate, as we've already talked about, didn't have the speed all weekend, didn't qualify well, and then wrecked in the race. So, Rinus is showing that he is such a talented driver.
Yep, no, I agree.
I'll throw out Marcus Ericsson and Christian Lundgaard as well as impressed me.
Lundgaard was good.
Just Ericsson, we would not see that coming. We know he's on the hot seat. This is a guy who finished 20th in the points last year, puts himself on the front row. Got really racy out there with Marcus Armstrong at one point today, and brought home a top 5. So congrats to Marcus.
I think there's still a lot of repetition, right, of some of the guys on the back end of this list, as far as a Siegel. Just
terrible,
really, really, really bad. Unfortunately, Rossi 16th place. Was doing okay in practice too there on Saturday, but then just didn't qualify well. He was up there for a little bit, but I think that's because of strategy. But just same old, I'm not expecting much out of Rasmussen, but Rossi, come on.
Yeah, for sure. And then someone else who's got to be disappointed in their debut with Penske, it's got to be a little Davey.
Yeah.
And that was self-inflicted. I don't know if they could have made the decision to get him into the pits because he locked that tire up and clearly wore through that spot on the tire. And you had to know at some point you're living on borrowed time. So, I mean, did you lose the same if you go ahead and pit? But I think you lose less ground. And then as the race went on, he made up some ground. So maybe if you made the decision to pit, he finishes in the top 10 instead of outside of it.
Yeah. You mentioned tires. I'll throw one more in there for disappointment, and it won't be a driver. Firestone. I'm disappointed in Firestone today because we've talked about this before. There has to be disparity between the alternates and the primaries, and today there wasn't. It seemed like there was the same tire no matter what they had on. There just wasn't the lap time differences weren't there. It didn't seem like there was any deg. Just kind of disappointed in what Firestone brought to the table. Hopefully that'll change as the year goes on.
Yeah, and go back to what it was. I mean, if nothing, you know what I mean? Like, let those things fall off a shelf, and you have to run 2 sets of them. So, we
haven't mentioned them in being a disappointment because we're holding on to it, I think, for the shit pit of the week. And so for our shit pit of the week, early on, we thought it was, Pato's crew not getting the damn air gun out of the box.
Oh, yeah.
And you're like, what is going on? You see the guy fumbling with it. It's like I'm rolling up my garden hose. It's like, what are they doing over there? But fortunately, it stayed in the box. The rule change probably benefited them a little bit where he didn't get penalized at all. But that could have been ugly in a lot of ways. It could have damaged the car, could have hurt somebody on the grid. It could have been a real mess. But I think, I'm not an engineer and I'm new to this race game thing, but I think you're supposed to run 4 tires. And so pretty interesting to see that rear tire just go flying down past your car.
Yeah, I think lefty loosey, righty tighty might be the team message this week in the debrief.
I felt bad for the guy on Dixon's team. They after it was the right rear, they focused on the right rear tire changer guy. Like, oh man, that little jab on live TV. When they were about to finish the race, that's what was a little shocking. Like, hey, safety crew, throw this thing back on my car. Like, I don't know if it damaged it beyond, or they just said no, screw it. But he definitely wins it. That's for sure.
Well, and unexpected because last year, multiple times we talked about how good that crew is and just how solid they are. Another Chip Ganassi team that's put together very similar to Pelot's with a bunch of guys that are returning that have been there forever. And generally speaking, you just don't see that kind of mishap happening for them in the pits.
My 14-year-old daughter, when I got home, because I wasn't home to watch the race, and I got home and said something to her because she's a big Dixon fan, and her first response to me is, "Dad's the first mistake they've ever made." And I was like, I mean, it is the Wolfpack. They are known for their acumen with at pit stops. So they just mistakes happen. But he definitely deserves the award this week.
I think what was super impressive is he saved the car. I mean, you're braking under. I mean, I don't know how many guys could have done that. Braking with 3 tires and coming to a big right-hand turn. Pretty impressive, I thought.
If ever Stingray, he'd have taken out the field.
Yeah, right. You're right. It would have. I mean,
I don't know what happened. He's still going to try to lip around on 3 tires.
And Stingray really misses Devlin.
Oh yeah, that was bad. But no, there's a clear choice of who's the worst of this field. That's for sure. But no, I was impressed that he saved it. I'm surprised they didn't bring that up in their commentary, especially the 2 race car drivers.
I think we got to spend a little bit of time talking about GridRivals. for a couple of reasons. One, Checkered Shorts crew, super pleased. We got 25 participants in the league this year, up from what, 8 or something last year?
Yeah, super fun. I'm excited. It makes it fun. A lot of people I know, a lot of people I don't know. So, thanks for everybody joining, first of all.
I could tell from the results some people are catching up to speed. Just know that that's okay. You got a lot of ground that could be made up through the year, and each week, the total standings you can win week by week, and maybe gain some ground in the standings. But it is take some time, read some of the articles on there, choosing to sign someone for 1 week as opposed to a couple of weeks, and then making sure you completely fill your team. There were some people based off of points down there at the bottom, I think, maybe didn't get their team fully set.
I think one's Jerry Kelly. I think one is my dad. He's like, I think I signed up. I'm like, well, ask A's at my brother or my sisters. And he's like, ask my nephew or my brother-in-law to help you. And I think he only got one driver. But, hey, work in progress.
But he picked a good one.
Yes, he did. Yeah, he got 159 points.
He picked one that got him some points at least.
Congrats to Truly the Light is Sweet.
Yeah, he was in our week victory. I don't know if it's a he or she. Was in our group last year.
Yeah. So, got a little 25-ish point victory over Keith and I, kind of there in second and third, really close.
That's
good call on Joseph Newgarden in their lineup today. So.
Got those pass points, all that ground he made up. It just goes to show you strategy-wise on the GridRivals. It's not all about who finishes top. Sometimes you're going to make some real hay with some guys that are movers. So we watch qualifying. You can set your team all the way up to, the gentleman start your engines. And, there's some value in getting some of those down the line guys, or maybe some guys that didn't qualify well, that are going to make last minute changes, and you just know that they're going to go out and race. Yeah. It's not, we talk and belabor over the fact that Pelot is just constantly kind of running away from the competition. Doing the GridRivals stuff keeps me engaged with what's happening in the back. It makes it a little more interesting. And then, choosing your star driver for the week and picking up the extra points. Brian, Pat, and I, there were a lot of our lineup that looked pretty similar at the top, but then at the bottom down the roster, we had some differences. And then we all had different guys as our star driver. And I think that's where you make up some ground.
Correct. Yeah.
The puppy
definitely
agrees.
I wish, I thought, well, there's 2 McLarens up front. I thought, Siegel will gain a bunch of positions today, and that cost me ultimately. But I only signed him for a week, so I can guarantee you he will not be in my lineup at Phoenix.
I guarantee he won't be in anyone's lineup next year.
Well, yeah, they've made that very clear. He needs a top 10. I mean, if he gets 11th, he's probably safe, but I don't see that happening.
It's really fun to see some folks on here. I invited a couple people that I work with, and they joined. Some of them are racing fans, either Formula One or maybe even NASCAR, and they're like, hey, let's check this thing out. And so it's fun to see some additional new users. And then my son signed up. It's fun to watch him because we had a little conversation beforehand, like, who am I going for and what? And he picked up Ferrucci, and he said, I just like that guy. And I said, well, here's what you need to know about Ferrucci. Like, he is a devil out there, and he is either going to race the tires off the car and finish well, or he's going to end up in the wall. And unfortunately, that happened on lap 1, but not the fault of poor Santino.
All right. There's a couple. I got my brother-in-law. I got a couple high school buddies. So it's and then again, there's a handful of people I don't know. So stick with us, have fun with it, ask questions, and we'll keep you moving.
Definitely encourage you to edit your profile. Put a picture on there. It doesn't have to be a picture of you. I know some people online, they want to protect their identity a little bit. That's fine, but personalize it a little bit. It makes it more fun. Maybe think of a creative name.
Talk about it.
Yeah. for sure. We'll talk about it every race reaction as well. So it makes it a little more fun to join into the pod and listen where everyone's running in the league.
I agree.
So what are we looking forward to after the season started? Next week, right?
I'm looking forward to that first oval coming so early in the season. So, getting ready and knowing that's only 6 days away. That's exciting for me. To see some of those guys bounce back. What are the Dixon and Power going to do next week? What's Rossi going to do? Those are guys that all tested at Phoenix. I know everybody tested there, but those guys got an extra test on that.
That's true.
That's a good point. So do they have a little bit of an advantage? And they need it now after this first week. So some bounce backs there.
I think it was Townsend who said, he's like, you don't have a chance to figure this out. You don't have an off week. You're going to Phoenix, to Arlington, and then you have 1 week off. Then you're going to wherever, Barber, maybe. So you don't have a chance to really feel the car out between now and next practice. So I'm looking forward to Phoenix. I'm not trying to be a downer, but it'd be so much cooler if they started on an oval for the season. You had NASCAR right behind you in this, and just imagine if you had some battling for the last 20 minutes on an oval with a NASCAR Segway right behind you and catch some more fans. Love St. Pete, but it'd be, those last 30, 40 laps were kind of, tough for me. But anyway, not bashing, but it'd be cool to have Phoenix as the fastest racing on earth really show these people who are just accidentally tuning into Fox.
Broadcast-wise, I thought it was another good broadcast by Fox. A little bit of mic malfunction for on the grid a few times, but other than that, and I enjoyed Jameis Winston. If he were quarterbacking my favorite team in the NFL, I'd probably have a different opinion. But he is television gold. He is straight up television gold.
They should hang on to it a little bit. I mean, invite him to more races. Him and his son seem to love it.
His little boy stole the show.
Yeah, he really did. It was it was good, I think.
Yeah, I didn't see a whole lot of difference in what we saw last year, just from the production standpoint. I know the driver's eye thing is cool. I know they expanded that. I don't want them to overuse that. I thought it was a little too much today, but I was looking for maybe something new from that team. They kept kind of selling that this is year two. Even the intro, I believe the intro sequence when they come on the air is still the same, which was surprising to me. I thought they would have upped their game there.
I would like to see the driver's eye. I forget, maybe it was Patos, but when somebody was passing them or they're passing somebody, like I want to see that from a real perspective of those guys. It seems like, I don't know how they see anyway, with how Josh brain or whatever, the waves and shaking and everything. But that I thought they missed a couple times. But overall, I didn't even think about the production because it was exactly the same, which is fine.
Yeah. The interesting thing, well, we'll get to that for our next episode. I don't want to get too far into Phoenix. For week one, it definitely satiated my appetite to get back into racing. Could it have been a better race? Yes. For St. Pete, it was good racing. Yes. We could have, like you said, somewhere in that after the last pit series, it'd have been nice to have a caution potentially.
That's a good call.
That could have made a world of difference.
I guess that's what I'm looking forward to, because last year we had one early caution at St. Pete, and then we didn't have one for 2 months, and so I'm hoping that we'll see several of those. Don't want anybody to get hurt. I know we've said that before, but it does bring entertainment value to the spectating of the sport when they're cautioned. So I'd like to see some of that.
It made the streets of Detroit race great last year. When they all had to sit there under red, and Harvick, they're running up and down interviewing guys. It just makes it exciting if at the end something happens to bunch them up.
Yep. No, I agree.
And we wouldn't have had that amazing finish at Milwaukee without it last year.
Right. True.
All right. Well, we thank you for joining us for episode 56. We're going to air these first thing Monday morning. So day following the race, you'll be able to listen on your way to work. And we'll be joining us for pre-race Phoenix on Thursday.
Let's go. See y'all.
See ya.